Today on Nightmare Echoes, we start our three-part series covering the Cloverfield universe. Stephen joins me to cover this found footage film, Cloverfield, and we answer the following questions. How did they destroy a bridge in New York? What's the real reason HUD turns to the camera and starts to say, "If I die"? And what movie did the actors think they were auditioning for? Next week on the podcast, Margo joins me for 10 Cloverfield Lane, but for now, Cloverfield. Hello everybody, welcome back to Nightmare Echoes. I'm joined again by Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
Hey, this is Stephen Babbitt. I'm here with Tsar.
Alright, so today we're talking about Cloverfield for our mini event where we're going to cover all three Cloverfield movies. I got Stephen doing Cloverfield, Margo doing 10 Cloverfield Lane, and then Jesse is going to wrap it up with me talking about Cloverfield Paradox, which are all produced by J.J. Abrams and all directed by different people. But I think it's interesting, and I'm excited to talk about all three of them. But for this one, the movie is directed by Matt Reeves, written by Drew Goddard, and it had a budget of around 25 to 30 million and made 172.4 million in the box office. It's found footage. I think found footage is pretty popular around this part. There's a lot of the movies that came out at the time that are found footage. It's a generally inexpensive way to do movies, although they spent 25 million on it. So
yeah, we talked about Blair Witch Project, and we've had some other podcasts about found footage horror movies. Yeah, I think it's amazing to see how these directors can tie in how a person would be filming with their home camera and the running and the jaggedness and the whole cinematography aspect of it.
Sure. All right, so the movie opens up and we have this like government title card that says this is a digital SD card. They've designated this case as Cloverfield, and we're about to go into the incident. It says it was at US 447 and it was the area formerly known as Central Park. So that gives us a hint at the beginning of the movie that something has happened to Central Park.
And it says property of the U.S. government. I noticed, though, there's also a time sequence at the bottom. Just because it's a video, I guess they had the time rolling at the bottom, and
sure,
the time is increasing, which like builds up a little bit of suspense there. At first it seemed to be right on time, seconds equal seconds, but then it starts speeding up before the footage starts. So
we start the movie and it opens. The date is April 27th, 2008, which April 27th is my wife's birthday. I just thought that was kind of cool. Whoever's filming here, the filmer is named Rob. He's capturing a view of New York City from this high-rise apartment, and he's filming around the apartment. He goes to wake up Elizabeth, who they call Beth. She doesn't want to be filmed, and they start talking about how she's never been to Coney Island, and he wants to take her there on a date. And the camera cuts out, and it's now May 22nd, 2008, and we meet the characters Lily and Jason. In this footage, Lily is asking Jason to record the party that they're going to have, the surprise party they're going to have for Rob tonight. Lily is played by Jessica Lucas, who was in Evil Dead Remake 2013 and The Covenant, so I really liked her in Evil Dead.
It's not clear at this point what type of party it is. What's interesting about this is, like typical home videos, you really don't know what's going on, and then things are sort of revealed as you're watching the footage.
Right, and so Jason doesn't want to record, but he can tell that she gets upset by this, so he agrees. But when he gets to the party, we quickly meet TJ Miller's character, HUD, and he convinces him to do the filming, and he said, "You're just doing testimonials like one would do at a wedding." HUD is played by TJ Miller, who was in Deadpool, Big Hero 6, and for horror, he was in the Underwater 2022 movie with Kristen Stewart.
I thought HUD's character was hilarious, and I'll get into it later, but just some of the quotes that he had while he was filming. I think, I don't remember if it was HUD or Jason when they had the camera there at the start. There's a quote that was like, "Ooh, a knife," and it's like, oh, there's some foreshadowing. Something's going to happen here.
I kind of found HUD frustrating, but necessarily frustrating, because you have to have a character who is willing to be filming awkward stuff, because someone with normal social cues or social boundary knowledge would know, oh, don't film this. And so we wouldn't have this awkward tension between Rob and Beth because a respectful person wouldn't have just stopped filming. But he doesn't understand or get the idea of like, hey, turn the camera off. It's not him. So I think that explains how the camera is always on in this movie.
And to your point, it was supposed to be a video for Rob to watch later when he was moving to a new job in Japan. And so these events start being revealed at the start here. And so HUD's supposed to be filming sort of these happy memories of his party and his friends that he can reflect upon later. And now we've got scenes like him and Beth having an argument.
So yeah, HUD's going around the party. He wants to talk to Marlena, which is this girl he has a crush on. She's played by Lizzie Kaplan, who was in Now You See Me Too. And she played Annie Wilkes in the Castle Rock TV show based on Stephen King's books, which is kind of cool.
When HUD was filming, he was talking to Lily, another character, whose heart necklace, by the way, was upside down, I noticed.
Interesting.
It's like, I don't know what that was supposed to mean or if they meant for that. But yeah, something's going to happen. But then I noticed that HUD is amateur. He's not even filming her face or in like what you learn when you're doing basic photography and videography. It's like frame the face here and he's like down low, up and down. Right. And then he focuses on that other girl.
Right.
Even though Lily's still talking.
Yeah. So he's awkward with Marlena. She doesn't recognize him. He gets her to do a testimonial, even though she says she doesn't really know Rob, but he says he'll make it a quick one. But eventually she makes an excuse that she wants to go get food because it just seems like she doesn't really want to talk to him. Lily tells everybody in the party to get quiet because she knows Rob's on the way. And as soon as Rob enters, everybody else surprised. Rob pretends like he's offended and wants to leave, but then he jokingly comes back in. Everybody asks for a speech. He gives a really short one saying that he was surprised and thank you because it means a lot. HUD explains to Rob why he's filming, and Rob jokes that he'll watch it every night while he's in Japan. But then he really wants to know if Beth's going to be there, and HUD's like, why would Beth not be here? We have a lot of footage of the party, including a woman sleeping. He's filming Lily, but then he moves over to Rob. When Beth does arrive, Rob goes to talk to her, but she brought a different guy named Travis. And Travis is played by Ben Fieldman, who was in the Friday the 13th remake and another found footage movie called As Above, So Below, although he's barely in this movie at all.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we'll get to watch that one eventually. I like that one. All right, HUD goes to check on Rob, and Rob notices that that's his camera, and he asks what tape is in there because he had something on the tape in there. HUD doesn't know because he was just handed the camera. He doesn't know he's recording over Rob and Beth's date to Coney Island.
And that I always found interesting because in other found footage movies, this happens as well.
Yes.
Where it's a previous tape and it's being recorded over, and this is pretty typical home video type things.
It happened in VHS. Uh-huh. They were recording their crimes over someone's attempted sex tape. Right. Yeah. HUD can tell there's something weird going on with Rob and Beth, so he tells Jason, and Lily overhears. And like I said earlier, HUD has no social boundaries, so he goes out to record Rob and Beth having an argument, and he is caught, and Lily tells them that she'll handle it. She'll pull him away. HUD's like, but I have to document the party. And she's like, but you can't document this. Like, he doesn't get it. HUD goes to Jason to ask what Lily knows. So they corner her in the kitchen and won't stop asking until she gives in, but she says they can't say it on camera. So HUD pretends to turn the camera off, but it's just facing down when she tells him that Rob and Beth slept together a few weeks back. Then, like an idiot, HUD goes around telling the entire party. Some people don't believe him because apparently he makes up stuff all the time.
And this is the part where he's filming the argument between Rob and Beth on the film that was supposed to record happy memories for Rob to watch later.
Yeah, exactly. So Beth is getting Travis to tell him that they'd like to leave. They see Rob on the way out. She tells him good luck in Japan, and Rob tells Travis good luck tonight, meaning like good luck in sleeping with Beth. And Beth is kind of shocked that he would say that. HUD says that he needs to talk to him, but Jason gets after him because he knows he's already spread the rumors to the whole
and
party.
Jason's Rob's brother.
Right, that's correct, right. Lily says that both Jason and HUD need to go talk to Rob because Rob is hiding out and it's his party, so he can't just leave his guests there. So they all go sit in the fire escape. HUD brings up that Rob ghosted Beth after they slept together. He says it's just because he's leaving to Japan and they can't be a couple. And then Jason goes off saying that Beth is so beautiful it's like she's from another planet. And for some reason she loves him and he isn't going to fix this by going to Japan and he needs to go after her. And this is where everything hits the fan. During this talking out on the balcony or emergency stairs, wherever they're sitting, a big earthquake happens.
There's a power outage too.
And right.
Yeah.
And they barely hold on to the railing. They run back inside. The power comes back on. HUD asks Marlena if she's okay, but she just ignores him. They turn on a report that says there was an earthquake and an oil tanker capsized in the New York harbor near the Statue of Liberty, and HUD says that's really close, which is really exposition to tell the audience where they're at in New York.
Yeah, and then there's an explosion in the distance that happens, and flaming balls start coming down, and they're still outside.
Well, they go up to the roof.
Oh, that's right.
All right, they go up to the roof. Some people think it's a bad idea.
They see the explosion in the distance, and the flaming balls start coming down on them out.
So they run downstairs. They go to the streets. We see Rob, Lily, and Marlena, and HUD all run down the street where people are running from the explosions. HUD is asking if anyone knows where Jason is, when something flies into another building, ricochets toward them, destroying a car, and lands very close. And HUD sees that it's the head of the Statue of Liberty, which is why the poster shows her without a head.
And you know what's crazy about a couple things I noticed here?
Sure.
Is I've actually had the pleasure of going to see the Statue of Liberty. They sell these copper coins there that show you the thickness of how thick it is.
Sure.
It's pretty thick copper.
Yeah.
And the other part here is you can see there's sort of like claw marks or something happening on that. I would also expect the head to be slightly larger, but
yeah, maybe.
It's interesting to see it sitting in the middle of a New York street.
Right. Also, I think it shows you everything so quickly. I think it's good at that. This movie does a really good job so those claw marks are barely on the screen. And when we see the monsters, they're barely on the screen for most of the movie. So we're like, what did we just see? And if unless you're pausing it or winding it, it does a really good job of making you question what you really saw or not. So I think it's really cool when it's doing that.
Subtle hints.
Yeah. So as they're walking or running away from this carnage, HUD captures what looks like a big monster attacking a building in the distance. The group runs into a nearby store, which I thought was convenient because it was a convenience store, to duck for cover while explosions are happening around them.
And then I think he says, like, I saw Rob is alive. Yeah. He tries to convince others that he actually saw something. And we don't really know there's a monster or anything at this point. We've had these subtle hints. But
yeah. Outside is so full of dust that the people are covered in dust, and it's like a dense fog, but it's all dust from the debris that's flying up everywhere. They go outside. Everybody's asking what happened. Some point here, HUD tells them that he saw what was on it, and they rewind the tape to show them. And while they rewind the tape, we get a few more seconds of Beth and Rob on the train on their date, and he's asking Beth if he should really move to Japan, and she doesn't really answer.
It's like that bit from the previous recording,
right?
When he was trying to rewind to show people.
Yeah, but then they did see it because we don't see them see it because how would we see if it wasn't recording? But we see afterwards, and the people all freak out saying they need to get it out of Manhattan because it's still in Manhattan, and then they argue over the best way to do it. HUD goes to check on Lily and Marlena because Marlena didn't hide in the store with them. She's covered in dust and she looks more shocked. And Marlena tells them that it was eating people.
Yeah, there's just total, utter chaos in the streets too. Mayhem with people injured, screaming. There's paramedics trying to treat them.
Right.
It's just to set the scene. And so now that they're talking about leaving and how best to get out of Manhattan. And they choose the Brooklyn Bridge.
Right. Yeah, so there's a cop leading them, encouraging them to move, kind of directing them. They're trying to get information from the cop, but he says if you're not injured, you need to keep walking, so they just keep walking. When they make it to the bridge, they're walking in an orderly fashion, and we see there's helicopters, which are like on a megaphone kind of telling people, do not stop, keep walking. And Rob asks what most people watch while watching found footage movies, and he's asking, why are you still filming? HUD says people want to see what happened, Rob tells him that we can just tell them, but HUD says that's not good enough. People will want to see it, and I could understand that. This craziness, like, how would you describe? No, a monster the size of Godzilla came destroying New York City. I'm not kidding. I have it on footage. I would want to show people too.
I know HUD's not your favorite, but I did admire him for he kept it going with his filming. And
yeah.
Almost to the point of like, this guy needs a film award.
Right.
Even though it's horrible angles and everything, he just keeps going.
I will clarify that I like T.J. Miller. I think he's good at playing these characters. You need people that are good at playing someone that's frustrating to watch for it to work. So I like T.J. Miller. But even in the movie Underwater, he drives me nuts. I love him in Deadpool too. So
it's the acting, or what exactly?
I mean, he does a good. No. The character he played is annoying. His acting is brilliant for being able to portray that right. I'm not. I think he's a wonderful person. I don't know. The
annoying character.
He does it a good job, right? Okay. Like, I could separate that, right? Like, he's good at playing annoying characters, right? So I give him credit for that. I just want to clarify. All right. So as they get to the bridge, Rob gets a call from Beth. He's trying to tell her that he can't understand her, that she needs to calm down. She tells him that the building she's in started to collapse and she can't move. Right then, the bridge starts to shake. Everyone is thrown down to the ground, and HUD drops the camera again. He picks it up, but he can't find what's causing it. Jason, who didn't stop with everybody else, is on a pole, climbed up a pole. He's asking why they stopped, and this is where Lily yells to tell him to watch out as we see this giant tail above him, and it comes down, crashing on the bridge, destroying that segment of the bridge, and killing Jason. They drag Lily away, who's screaming for Jason, and they run back off the bridge as it's collapsing behind them.
Now, at this point, I've been watching the movie without reading anything about it or knowing much about it. So I just see the creature destroy part of the bridge, and I'm thinking immediately Kraken.
It's a Kraken. That's cool. What's interesting here is to accomplish this shot, they were able to film the real Brooklyn Bridge having a bunch of people walk on. And then as the camera goes down for a second and back up, there's a cut where now they're on a sound stage, and it's a set that they built so they can destroy it.
Oh,
which is kind of cool. Like, neat little tricks like that are pretty good. There's parts of the movie where they're running down a real New York City street, and then they turn the camera to look at something, and as they turn it back, there's a cut that we don't see, and they're now filming on the soundstage. Or they're filming this segment in L.A., even though they were just running through a New York street.
Now, this is something that's like the brilliance of the filmmaking from the past, where you don't have CG. Yeah. It's almost pure art on how you're doing the filming. You're setting up the scenes, and I do like that. At the next part, when HUD is running with the camera and trying to calm down Rob, I thought that was really good, because it's just like, I've actually done that with the home camera before. Like, you're running, you see it's all jagged, and
so the group run and they stop in front of a Sephora while Marlena tries to comfort Lily, who tells Rob that Jason is dead. He looks like he's gonna faint, and they see that in nearby stores people are starting to break in, and HUD asks Rob if they should try the Lincoln Tunnel, and Rob isn't talking. Even Marlena is looking to Rob for answers. Rob checks his phone and the battery's dead. So he gets the same idea to run into that store that everybody's looting. And while he's in there looking for a phone battery, HUD runs in and sees on the news that it's a giant creature. We only see it for a few seconds before the military vehicles drive by, which distracts HUD. So again, the movie does a good job of just a few seconds of the monster. We don't get to see the whole thing, which I like a lot. HUD gets more footage of the creature while the military tells them that they're under mandatory evacuation. HUD tries to tell Rob to listen, but he's searching for that new phone battery still. And then the others come in to ask what's taking them so long. On the news, we do see that this creature, there's pieces of the creature falling off on the ground. And the news camera captures that once they hit the ground, these little tiny creatures jump up. And they're the size of like little raptors from Jurassic Park. And they just start attacking people in the military, just start firing all their automatic rifles at them.
This reminded me a bit of the old movie Aliens, where you've got these little things that are just kind of chasing after.
Yeah.
Spawned from the original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the second one, Aliens, had a lot of...
Yeah, Aliens.
Yeah, it was more of an action movie. It was a badass movie.
Mhm.
All right, so they get in there with him, and HUD tells him that Rob's doesn't want to leave. Rob finally gets the battery in his phone, and he calls, and he gets more information from Beth that she's stuck in her apartment. She's bleeding and begs for his help. Rob says that he wants to go, and HUD says he will tackle him if he has to because the monster is in that direction. But Lily says that she'll go with Rob, and I'm thinking here that she just lost Jason, so she's trying to cling on some kind of hope. And if she could save somebody because she couldn't save Jason, it's a good motivation to keep going in this disaster time. So
yeah, Lily has a lot of courage here.
I agree.
Yeah, she just keeps going and helping the group.
Yeah, so they go along trying to go that way. We see the military is attacking by cars. The monster gets close to them, steps near them, and they are near Subway. So they run down the stairs right as the foot comes at them. It stomps on where they just were. HUD falls down the stairs, dropping the camera again, which still remains unharmed. Best camera in the world.
Gosh, yeah. I want to know the manufacturer, the brand, the model of this one, because it just... And just an aside here, that the monster clearly, it sort of looks like a Godzilla monster. And I think the filmmakers had discussed this prior to making the movie. They wanted something like that. The fact that Rob's about to go to Japan, too, it's got a lot of parallels to what exactly was happening there, and having a monster come out and attack New York City that's similar in some ways to Godzilla.
Yeah, according to the trivia, J.J. Abrams, who's the producer of the movie, had gone to Japan on a trip with his son, and they went to his toy store, and they saw a lot of Godzilla toys, and they thought, let's make our own monster in America that we can have in movies.
Wow,
which is pretty cool.
That's a good circular story, because originally we had King Kong, which was in New York City, climbing to the top of the Empire State Building.
Right.
And then the Japanese filmmakers saw it, they loved it, they came up with Godzilla, and now we're J.J. Abrams going over there, seeing their Godzilla, bringing it back, making a monster again for the States. That's an interesting story.
Right. So they're underground, and they debate whether they should use a different exit to go to the surface, but they don't think it'll be any better up there. Rob gets a call from his mom, and he has to tell her that Jason is dead. HUD keeps trying to talk to Marlena, but she never says anything back. And Rob gets the idea that they should just walk through the tunnels, and HUD says that he'll go with him.
Now, at this point, I just had made the connection to Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of the old Godzilla, a remake from 98, Matthew
Broderick.
Yeah. And I believe in that movie, Godzilla was laying eggs down in the tunnels in New York. And I'm thinking, okay, that's probably the worst place you could be going right now. You don't know what's down there. What if a train's still running too, and you're sitting there on the tracks?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Of course, HUD brings up some story about a guy that went down there and started lighting homeless people on fire with like Molotov cocktails, and they're asking him to stop telling the story, but he just keeps going on with the story, which is freaking them all out. And then it's really dark, and so they decide to use the camera light. Yeah, the light on the camera, which is definitely a found footage trope.
The infrared.
Well, they do, yeah. First they use the
vision.
flashlight, then they move to infrared, which the movie Wreck, which is also found footage, did the year before. That movie has a great scene where our main character, who has a cameraman with her, she's a news reporter, can't see where she's going, and the cameraman turns on infrared, so we see a creature. In this movie, same thing. They turn on infrared to see where they're going, and behind them, above them, are all these little creatures we saw in the news, and they're crawling on the ceilings, and so HUD tells them all to run, and I think it was a great scare.
Yeah, so before that, also, there were rats. New York City's famous for having the rats, but the rats are running away from something, and we don't know what it is yet, and then you see the creatures. I do like HUD's little comments as his character. He has these really strange quotes occasionally. Yeah. But going back to the homeless guy, he says, if a flaming homeless guy came out right now, like right before they saw the rats, he was just bringing up that story about the flaming guy.
Yeah, I also like to point out that if Jesse, our co-host Jesse, was doing this episode, he would have said that rats are friends, so trust the rats. If they're running that way, run that way too. So they start attacking everybody. The team kind of works together. Marlena knocks one off of HUD and starts attacking it with a pipe. And then one grabs her and tackles her. So the group has to get it off of her by attacking it. Then they pull her up and then they run. They barely get into this other room and they have to fight to shut the door. But when we get in there, we see that Marlena has this, like, I don't know, 2-foot scratch starting from the front of her shoulder all the way towards her back. She's pretty damaged.
She's hurt badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that was really creepy here was when the small creature was attacking, that sound that it was making, like, it had a really creepy sound. And I don't know who came up with that sound, but I thought, I've never heard a monster or creature sound like that before. It was very creative.
One thing that you mentioned, HUD has funny lines. He was talking about when they were dragging him away, he wondered if they were trying to drag him away to make him their queen.
Yeah, that's right.
Which
when he
is
was talking
awesome.
to Marlena, he said that.
Yeah, he also thanks her for saving his ass, which is pretty crazy.
I do think there's something that he keeps trying to bring up with her. He definitely wants some type of relationship with her.
Of course,
He's hitting on her pretty hard. Like, why are you still here? Why are you helping me?
Right.
I do thank you for helping me.
So then we get this scene where they're ready to go up again. So they go through a department store, which it really exists. You can enter from the subway right into this department store. And as they're going in, they see this bright light in the distance. Marlena starts to look like she's not well and gets really dizzy. Then we find out this is an army base. The army show up to start escorting them into a camp. And we have a lot of people on stretchers. They're flying people out on helicopters. But Rob keeps trying to tell them that he doesn't want to leave. He wants to go save Beth. He tells them where Beth's at. And they tell him you don't want to be in that area because that's where it is.
Now, before they actually went up into the department store, speaking of comments by HUD made a good observation. He ran over their options, which were die here, die in the tunnels, or die in the streets.
Yeah.
And then one other comment about the lighting that was done before they went up into the department store. You could tell it was a home theater camera. It was hard to make out how badly Marlena was hurt and the blood situation that was happening. But then when you get up there and the bright lights are there with the military, you can tell she's not doing too well.
Yeah. Then up there with the soldiers, Marlena starts to tell her that she doesn't feel well. You start seeing that she's bleeding from her left eye and her left nostril, and she's starting to turn really pale. The soldiers yell that she's been bit, and they start dragging her to quarantine, which I like to point out as Quarantine is the title of the Wreck remake in America, which is funny. HUD tries to follow, but they hold him back, saying that she has to stay in quarantine. And then we kind of see it on camera, but it's behind these curtains. But we see that maybe her head explodes. Blood goes everywhere around the curtains.
Something exploded. Her
She
body,
exploded
yeah,
somehow.
Something happened.
Right. We only kind of get a shadowy outline of the events. The other three are dragged out towards the chopper. One soldier tells Robs if he wants to go for Beth, he's not going to stop them, but they need to know that the army is going to try one more thing before they try to take down the creature and initiate the hammer down protocol.
So they allow Rob and his friends to leave to go to try to find Beth, but the military man does remind or tell Rob that if you want to get out, you've got to be on a chopper. And I think he said the last chopper would leave at 0600 hours. So then Rob is sort of given that freedom to go try to find his friend, but then given an option to get out with the group.
Right. And then one more detail from that is that the chopper is leaving from 40th and Park. So they know where they have to get to that chopper. So they're back on the street. Lily asks HUD what happened. And while he's telling her, they both get really emotional. Rob, who knows they have a time limit, he says he doesn't want to be insensitive, but since they don't have time, he's willing to go on without them, but they said that they'll go there anyway. Once they get to the skyscraper, they see that it's leaning, and he points out that that one is Beth's, and she's on the 39th floor. Rob thinks they can just go see how far they can climb, but Lily doesn't think that's a good idea. That's when HUD gets the idea, jokingly, to go up the building that's standing and jump across on the roof. And when they
the leaning building.
Yeah, right.
Nuts.
And so Rob thinks that's a great idea, and HUD instantly regrets suggesting it. Like, no, this is a bad idea.
I happen to notice at this point there are a lot of abandoned vehicles, and there's a horse-drawn carriage that goes by.
Yeah,
and I was wondering, like, what? Just look, you're walking around on the streets. You don't know when the creatures are gonna come up. Just hop on one of these vehicles to get over there. Nobody's going to stop you.
That's true, but how good are you at riding a horse?
Well, it's a carriage, but then there's also like a Humvee or another vehicle that's sitting there with the lights on.
I haven't ridden a horse
They could drive it.
2006.
I've never ridden a horse. And I'm from Texas.
Yeah, me too. What's funny, I learned to ride a horse in Colorado because I volunteered at a education farm. So I got to teach kids how to ride horses, how to clean horses, how to groom horses, how to take care of them, which means I had to learn how to do all that stuff. So they taught me how to ride a horse so that I can go and then teach kids to ride horses. Oh. So it's kind of neat.
Wow, that is neat. I admire you for that. I rode a bull, but not a horse, which is weird because, like, no, it wasn't. It was a real, which is weird because horses are animals that humans have been riding on for thousands of years, and then bulls are not supposed to be ridden.
For longer than 8 seconds, I'll tell you that. All right, so inside the building, they climb 59 flights of stairs, and luckily we do not have the camera on the entire time. But while we do have the camera on, HUD is going over different conspiracy theories. When they get to the roof, they go across it, and HUD puts the camera down. But before he does, he makes a video like, hey, if this is the last thing you see, I died while trying to cross the building. They filmed that because they thought they weren't going to be able to afford filming them crossing the roof, but then they were able to figure out where in the budget to make this scene happen. So it's a set that they built, and they just had like green screen, all the destruction in the background to sell it. But they didn't think they were going to be able to afford it, so they were going to have him say that to the camera, then turn the camera off and cut to us in another building.
Interesting.
But they were able to make it work, which I'm glad, because it's a really good scene.
Yeah, I might have missed that, but I thought it cut out. But they did film the jumping.
Well, across? They do show them crossing.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's touching, so it's not much of a jump.
It's a little bit. Yeah.
What is interesting during the commentary, Matt Reeves, the director, says that when they get to the other building, they really built the stage to be leaning, but a lot of people he meets thinks they just tilted the camera. But he was like, if you see the characters are really struggling to walk, it's because we really put them on a leaning set, which really messed with their equilibrium and made it really hard for them to work. But it's funny that some people think all they did was tilt the camera.
Oh, the one other sort of illogical part here is when they were going up to the roof, they first tried to ride an elevator. And I was thinking, okay, power outages, strange creakers, I would not.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
But then in the middle of the stairwell, I know we were talking about quotes from HUD.
Yeah.
HUD says something like, I'm probably going to shit my pants in the stairwell when they couldn't get on the elevator. Gosh, HUD.
So in there, when they finally get to Beth's apartment, they see that she has a
rebar sticking out of her chest.
Thank you. Yeah, impaled. And so they have to pull her off of it, which is probably not the best medical advice, but it's not like they could bring help to her.
And yeah, so just thinking about a Stop the Bleed class that I took one time, the wound is right next to the heart. I think if this was in real life, Beth probably doesn't have much of a chance. But it's great that I was very impressed that they were able to pull her off and she's doing okay. Yeah. She's stable.
What also I love is, so if we're going to our great HUD lines, which is funny because I do like these lines, even though he frustrated me, I like his lines. So when she wakes up, she's like, what is that? Because she sees a creature in the distance, and he goes, something terrible.
Yeah, something else.
Yeah.
Also terrible.
Right. So when they go, they're taking her down the stairs, they run into another creature, another one of the small creatures. And after they kill it, she asks, what's that? He goes, something else, also terrible, which I think was amazing. When they're back on the ground floor, when the camera comes back on, we find out they have 3 hours to make it to the chopper.
And they don't get in the vehicles still. They're sitting there waiting for them.
Well, maybe they had keys. I don't know. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But they run down the street, and they're very near the battle with the creature and the military aircraft. For some reason, Beth is able to run, which is great. It might be all the adrenaline.
She's missing half of one lung.
Yeah.
Definitely has a problem.
We do get some tanks here, which the creature is able to smash, which is kind of cool. As they make it to the choppers, Lily is the last one to get on the first chopper, and the other three have to get on the second one. But before they get on, the creature comes in the same city block as them. They jump in the helicopter, and in the helicopter, HUD is able to record a really good shot of this creature.
He's still filming.
He is still filming.
In the chopper when the creature's being attacked.
Yeah, we
by
see
the
like
military.
all these missiles hitting the creature, and it seems like they destroyed it, and everybody's excited, but then it jumps out, swipes the helicopter that our three characters, Rob, Hud, and Beth, are in, and it spirals down and crashes, and we get a few seconds of the footage from the date again, then it turns off. Then we hear over the radio that it's still alive and that the hammer down protocol will happen in 15 minutes. For some reason...
Now, wait, this camera is still, like, okay, so it's been dropped, it's been through a lot.
I think
it just survived a helicopter crash.
I think it survived 5 drops from, like, hand level.
Have you counted these?
And then 1 from helicopter height, and it survived. But interestingly, besides our 3 main characters here, Hud, Rob, and Beth, everybody else on that plane, wearing safety gear, wearing harnesses, they all died, which is interesting.
But our characters in the group are still alive.
Yeah, one of them has a hurt leg, but they seem to be fine.
Yeah, Rob, I think, hurt his leg.
Yeah.
But then, now, Rob, who's hurt his leg, and Beth, who has clearly a lung problem, they're still able to run, which amazes me.
Right.
Maybe it is adrenaline, like you said.
So they run, but then Hud goes back for the camera, and when he looks up, the creature's there. He can't move from fear or his desire to film everything, and the creature stares right at him. The creature bites down, pulling him and the camera up before dropping him and the camera to the ground again. So this is another fall of the camera, and it survives. Lily and Rob
Hud doesn't survive, but the camera did.
Yeah. Rob and Lily come to get him, but because he's dead, they take the camera, and at 69 minutes into the film, the character we've been following this whole time has just died. Rob and Beth run under a bridge. Beth wants to leave, but Rob says they have nowhere to go. Rob turns the camera on himself and says that it's 6:42 on Saturday, May 23rd. He details that 7 hours ago, the attack began. His brother, Jason Hawkins, his best friend, Hudson Platt, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Who would name someone Hud? It's short for Hudson. Thank you for explaining this to me, movie. And Marlena Diamond, as well as many others, have died. He goes to say that they crashed in Central Park and taking shelter under a bridge, and the military is currently bombing the creature. He turns the camera to Beth and asks her to say who she is. She says her name, and they're going to wait there until it passes, and then bombs fall, destroying the bridge. The camera falls under the rebel, and Rob is telling Beth that he loves her, and she says it back. Another bomb hits, killing them, and the footage cuts back to them on the ride at Coney Island. Rob tells her they have 3 seconds of footage left, and what did they want to say? She smiles at the camera and says she had a really good day.
Yeah, that was a wicked ending with because it was Coney Island, and she has a really good day right after they got collapsed by the bridge in the film.
So, interesting facts about the movie. When the actors were cast, there was no script because they didn't want people to know it was a monster movie. And because J.J. Abrams had just announced that he was doing Star Trek, a lot of people thought they were auditioning for Star Trek, which is funny. They filmed as much as they could in New York, but they cut with green screens. Sometimes they filmed in a studio. Sometimes they filmed in L.A. But they did as much as they could in New York so they would sell the idea, and I think it did a really good job of it.
Yeah. I thought the ending was really weird. Like, just thinking about the old Godzilla, they really went through and explained in the film this creature came caused by radioactivity and et cetera, et cetera. We never find out from where this creature came. We don't know what happened or what exactly started all of this. And then we never find out what happened to Lily, who was on the other helicopter.
Right.
And yeah, so it's just there are a lot of unknowns here.
Sure.
At the end.
I would say you need to watch the other 2 because the third one, which I would say is not my favorite, if I would say that 10 Cloverfield Lane is my favorite of these, then Cloverfield Paradox, which is more sci-fi. It's still horror, a little. It explains why these events happen. So it's interesting, so you should watch it. But, yeah, this movie itself doesn't tell us. And there's a lot of times where people would ask J.J. Abrams, well, what is it? What causes and stuff? And he would give hints throughout time, right? One hint that he has given us is the creature that is destroying New York is just a baby looking for its mother. So that is a small version of the creature.
And then we don't understand where these other little creatures that fell off of the baby creature came from either. Like there's...
Yeah. So when that Sephora store that I talked about in the movie that they stop in front of, they built the store for a second to film in. They built the store, and people really thought that a Sephora store was being resurrected in LA where they were filming this scene, and they were really excited to have the store there, but it turns out it was just for a film set. They had to disappoint a lot of people that were excited. Is there anything else you want to say about it?
No, I would say that this wasn't one of my favorite monster type movies that I've seen in the past. I don't know if it was the fact that it wasn't original enough. I kind of pulled and copied some things from previous movies, but I did think that HUD's character with his comical quotes and stuff, it did add to it for me.
Yeah.
It reminded me a bit of Shaun of the Dead, which I know we've talked about previously, and some of the other comedic aspects that are pulled into these horror films.
Right. And one other cool detail is that so there's some alternate endings, which I'd say are not as good as the ending we have. One, instead of that last 3 seconds where I had a good day, which I think is a great last line for the movie,
great.
Just showed him chasing her down a hallway on their way to Coney Island as the last thing. And then the one that was almost the same ending, so they showed Steven Spielberg the movie before it came out, and before the bombs drop, he was like, hey, where are the sirens? Like, if a bomb's going to drop, we should hear sirens. So these sirens that you hear in the movie were Steven Spielberg's contribution to the movie. Like, hey, add some sirens. So they went in and added it before it had a theatrical release.
Yeah, like an air raid siren, because we needed to know the bombs were coming.
Yeah, there's also a lot of little things that J.J. Abrams always brings up in his movies that are kind of shared, like the Slusho drink is also in Star Trek. We see it in 10 Cloverfield Lane as well. And so it's just something that always comes back, which is interesting about these movies. But if you like found footage, which I do, I find it fun. We've covered a couple already. We've covered VHS. We covered Blair Witch Project. Other recommendations are, I talked about a little bit here, As Above, So Below. Wreck is a really good one. There's 4 movies of that one. I like it way better than the remake Quarantine that America did. Yeah. But I own all the VHS movies. There's 6 of them.
Awesome.
I like them all. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We have new episodes every Monday. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, we're at Nightmare Echoes Pod. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.
I'll see y'all next time.